Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm going to be going over my 10 biggest regrets in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now some of these are going to be purchases, some of these are just going to be things that I did and the way that I acted, and my approach to just playing GTA Online in general. I've got a lot of things on this list, and they're going from things that I regret the least to things that I regret the most. So anyways, this should be a pretty interesting video. I hope that I can teach you guys some stuff so that you won't have these regrets when GTA Online is kind of over and done with and when we're moving on to GTA 6. If you guys enjoyed the video, likes of course appreciated. If not, dislike, subscribe if you're new and you enjoy my content. Going for 300,000 subs this year, so if you want to help me out, consider subscribing. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with number 10. So my 10th biggest regret is buying useless Pegasus vehicles. Now, Pegasus vehicles in GTA Online have always kind of been a little bit of a scam in my opinion, because when GTA first started, there was vehicles that were Pegasus vehicles, but you didn't really know that they were Pegasus vehicles. Like, you could have probably looked it up, but a lot of purchases that I made on my first character were off of Warstock, and they ended up being Pegasus vehicles, and I was assuming they'd be in my garage, and then I could call them like a personal vehicle with the mechanic. But no, you end up calling Pegasus, and the thing will spawn in at a location that's kind of nowhere near you. Like, it might be kind of close, but it's kind of far at the same time. And it's just really not convenient. And especially for the prices that some things cost on the Pegasus website, it's just kind of a joke. And the other thing is too, Pegasus also kind of tricks you into thinking that you need certain vehicles to be able to do certain things. So case in point for this is the taxi or the Brigade 6x6 that houses the acid lab within it. You can purchase the taxi, but you don't need to do taxi work. You can just go to the downtown cab company, but you can also just own a taxi at Pegasus that you can call whenever you want. But you can also go to the downtown cab company and just sign up for the work and get a taxi that way. So that is something that is a real scam. And the other thing too is, like, with the Brigade 6x6 that houses the acid lab, you can purchase it on Warstock Cash and Carry before you've completed the first dose missions. But that thing will not be able to have the acid lab in it until you've completed the first dose missions, which will unlock the trade price as well. So you're totally getting scammed. They shouldn't even let you purchase it before you've completed those missions because you can't have an acid lab within it. So it's just kind of a joke. And then there's other things like the fire truck, box fills, stuff like that are just like, there's no point in having them, and they just are generally useless. And you can get them a lot of the time in other ways for pretty much free, which is kind of crazy to me. And the ones that you can't get for free, you probably don't really need them anyways, because they're kind of not that great. So buying useless Pegasus vehicles is definitely a regret of mine. I have a lot of useless Pegasus vehicles, which is unfortunate, but I wouldn't be able to tell you guys this if I didn't make those mistakes. So really think about it before you actually purchase a Pegasus vehicle, because yeah, some of them are really garbage. Some are really good too, don't get me wrong, but a lot of those vehicles that you see on Warstock, just take it with a grain of salt before you purchase it, and actually look it up and see if it's actually worth getting. At number 9, we have upgrading multiple businesses with the same upgrade. Now, you think it'll be convenient to have gun lockers in every single business that you can possibly get them in, but let me tell you right now, it's not convenient at all. Buy it in the cheapest business that you have that can contain a gun locker, for example, because the chances are you will almost never actually change your weapon loadout. I've changed my weapon loadout maybe 5 times in the entire time I've played GTA Online, and I think that the weapon loadout came out with the bunker update, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think that that's when it came out, and I've changed it a handful of times. Like, it's really not something that I do very often, but I have multiple businesses that have the gun locker within it. Like, I think I have one in my bunker, if that's a possibility. I know I have one in my agency. I know I have one in my MC clubhouse. There's so many businesses that I have gun lockers in that I just don't need them in. And another thing that kind of ties into this is just interior upgrades that you don't really need, because you're really not going to spend much time within these places. And the interior upgrades for them cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, between all the businesses in GTA and any apartment or building that can have a modified interior, you could probably spend like 5 mil on all that stuff. And for what? Like, maybe in your main apartment, make it look exactly how you want, or your CEO office, or wherever you spawn in. But beyond that, it's really not worth upgrading cosmetic stuff in businesses, and it's really not worth buying multiple businesses and upgrading the same thing in all of them. So keep that in mind. That is a big regret of mine. And number 8, we have purchasing useless vehicles. Now, I used to just buy vehicles because I liked the look of them, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. Obviously, if you like a vehicle regardless of the performance, buy it. Don't be afraid to. But I didn't realize for the first few years that I played GTA Online that there were people actually reviewing cars on YouTube and telling people if they're good or not. And that's kind of what got me into doing it in the first place, is because I had a lot of cars that I would buy and then I'd find out they were terrible, and I just wasted a bunch of money on them that I couldn't get back, essentially. I mean, you can sell the cars, but it's not really worth it. But it would have been nice to know before I purchased some of them that no, actually this car's trash and I shouldn't have bought it in the first place. So purchasing useless vehicles is definitely a big regret of mine. I definitely should have checked on YouTube beforehand, and I hope that some of you guys check out my car customizations and reviews before you purchase vehicles, because I do think that I give pretty good insight as to whether the value of a car is worth owning it or not, and whether or not a car has good handling, acceleration, top speed, whatever that sort of stuff is. And if you care about that, as well as the customizations and everything like that too, if you care about that stuff and you want to know it before you purchase a vehicle, which I would recommend, because I made this mistake for a long time by not checking, I would definitely recommend checking those out. If there's a car you're thinking of purchasing, maybe just look it up on YouTube. It doesn't even have to be me, but just watch a review before you purchase something that you're going to regret later, or that you might regret at least. And number 7, another big regret of mine, is taking modded money. I took modded money probably back in 2015 or 2016, and I had played legit up until that point. I played on the Xbox 360 and I played on the Xbox One as soon as it came out, and then I got on the PC and I had ported my character over to PC. And on PC, as I'm sure many of you are aware, it is just a modded hellhole. And I took a bunch of modded money back in the day, and I ended up actually getting banned in 2017. I think it was February 2017. And I remember that because it was so devastating to me, because I had so many cool cars and stuff that I had been holding on to for years at this point. Like, I had been holding on to it for, just over 4 years, or I guess just over 3 years really. But that was a big blow to me, like losing my adder, for example, that I had grinded so hard for completely legitimately and everything like that. Obviously, I lost all the modded money and all the modded cars too when I got banned, but it just really sucked to lose out on the things that I did actually grind for and the things that I did actually try really hard for. So taking modded money is definitely a big regret of mine. And the other thing is too that people don't realize, I think a lot of the time, at least for me, and I think this is true for a lot of people, if you've taken modded money, GTA becomes really, really unfun. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more later on this list, but I think that actually enjoying the grind to a degree is the reason that people even play GTA Online in the first place. Like, if you just skip from, you're level 1 today, and then you get $100 billion that you can't possibly spend, you buy everything you want, you have a lot of fun on that first day, buying all those cars, maybe customizing a few of them. But after like 3 or 4 hours, you're probably bored as hell and you just shut the game down. And like, you might come back on next time you want to drive a certain car, like if a new car comes out. But having like excess money to the point that you can buy whatever you want and you didn't even earn the money in the first place, like you got it modded to you or whatever you did, I think that it really takes the piss out of the game, to be honest. Like, it's just not fun. It's just really not as fun when you have as much money as you can possibly have and buy everything that you possibly want. I think it really takes a lot of the fun out of the game. So that's a big regret of mine. And getting banned and losing all the stuff that I legitimately grinded for really, really sucked. So that's definitely something that I would recommend not doing, is taking the modded money or getting a modded account and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, if you like that stuff and if you can, still find fun ways to play GTA with a bunch of money and stuff, more power to you. But I think for a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people realize it, but it actually kind of ruins the game, low key. But anyway, that's enough for that one. On to number 6. My 6th biggest regret in GTA Online is buying businesses that suck. And 2 come to mind right off the bat, and those are document forgery, and this is going to trigger these guys. These guys get so mad at me whenever I talk about this business and say it's bad. Vehicle cargo. I hate vehicle cargo. I think it is such a bad business. I get that you can make like 100 grand in like 5 minutes, but that also takes you sourcing every single level of car and then keeping all the bad ones so that you're only ever sourcing like the supercars and stuff that sell for that higher amount of money. I just think that the ROI on the business is so bad because it costs like 3 mil to get into it. Like, you need a CEO office, you need a vehicle cargo warehouse. That right there is like probably at minimum $2.5 million. And then you have to source 40 cars, and like 5 of those are going to be the high-end cars, maybe 5 to 10 sort of thing. That's like $1 million after sourcing all of those high-end cars plus all of the low-end cars. And then you have to still sell the high-end cars, and you have to do that like two and a half times to be able to get your money back. Like, that is terrible. And I know a lot of businesses, take a while to pay them off, you know what I mean? But vehicle cargo, I just think sucks. And document forgery does too. The ROI on document forgery is horrible. I think it's a bad business. Vehicle cargo, though, is so bad too. And I really don't recommend getting into vehicle cargo or document forgery. I think those are both pretty trash. I think beyond that, like, all the other businesses are like, okay. Even the bounty hunting business that just got released, like, it doesn't pay well, but it's not like awful at the same time. Like, it's definitely not something that I recommend as a new player to get into. I think it's more of a late game business just to have some fun and some different variety with the missions. But I particularly think document forgery and vehicle cargo are bad. But the vehicle cargo guys can go off at me in the comment section. That's fine. I don't care. I still just think it's a bad business. My 5th biggest regret in GTA Online is getting an Avenger and a mobile operations center. They essentially do the same thing. They both allow you to upgrade the weaponized vehicles like the APC Insurgent Pickup into the Pickup Custom, to classy weaponized Tampa, the half track. All those vehicles can be upgraded in either of them. And to be completely honest, the MOC is way better than the Avenger. Now, the Avenger did get a bit of a buff with the LS Mercenaries DLC, or the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC, I should say. But it's still useless. Like, it's not useless. It's just not as good as the MOC, in my opinion. Like, it flies around and everything like that, which is really cool. It's a cool vehicle at its core. It's based off the MV-22 Osprey in real life, which is a pretty sick tilt-rotor aircraft. That's what that's actually called officially. It's not a plane or a helicopter. I'm a nerd. Anyways, the Avenger just is not as good as the MOC. The MOC is the most armored vehicle in the game, and while the Avenger is the most armored aircraft in the game, it's still not that good, to be honest. It's really good in like a PvP scenario if you can like spawn camp people, but that's only if you have multiple friends. And for the Avenger, you need to own the facility, and the facility is kind of on the useless end of things. Like, yes, it gives you access to the Doomsday Heist, so if you're into that, whatever. But I just don't think it's worth it buying a facility and then buying the Avenger. And then with the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC, they came out with all these upgrades for the Avenger. I don't really think those are worth it either. And then there's like a trade price involved, which also not worth getting. Overall, I would just buy an MOC because you keep it in the bunker, and the bunker is one of the best businesses in the entire game anyways. So I think it just makes a lot more sense to get an MOC, and don't bother buying an Avenger. You're not going to use it nearly as much as you think you will. And again, it's kind of similar to the Pegasus thing that we talked about earlier. It's not going to spawn in a convenient location, and neither is the MOC for that matter. But the MOC is just so much more convenient in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but let me know in the comment section down below. My 4th biggest regret is purchasing shark cards. Shark cards were something that I would buy in the very early days of GTA Online. I don't think I've bought one since probably 2015. And I would buy these. I remember when the High Life DLC came out because I saw the Zentorno was coming and I really wanted that car. And I ended up buying shark cards so I could get it, as well as the Jester and the Albany Alpha. They're also released with that High Life update. All cool cars, but it was not worth purchasing shark cards. At that time in GTA Online though, I didn't realize that there was like the missions tab under online, and that you could like go into the jobs tab and go to missions and like start a mission like that. I didn't find that out for years, and I don't know what was wrong with me. I just didn't know that. So I didn't know how to make money. As far as I was concerned, you could do races, and like I'd get the invite on my phone, I'd accept it, and I'd join races, and like that's how I made money. And that was a terrible way of making money. So I purchased quite a few shark cards when I was definitely younger. I think when I got banned, I think I ended up getting like $24 million when I got my account back, and that was for my shark card purchases. So I bought 24 mil worth of shark cards, which is crazy. So yeah, stupid. Definitely don't recommend buying shark cards. Like, they can kind of help you out when you're starting, but they can also be such a huge waste of money. And I just don't really think they're worth buying. I don't think it's worth rushing it like that and just getting the shark cards to get your businesses up and running or whatever like that. I just don't recommend it. I think just play the game as legit as you possibly can. Like, obviously shark cards are like a legitimate way of earning money or whatever, but I just don't think you should do it. I think it's a waste of time, and it's definitely a waste of money in real life. That is for sure. And number 3, my third biggest regret is buying a yacht. Huge waste of money. I almost never go there. It looks cool sitting out in the ocean, you know, in front of the beach or whatever, or wherever I have it parked right now. But I can't even remember the last time. I think I've gone there once or twice in the last entire year. And keep in mind, I played GTA like almost every day for YouTube. So yeah, like I rarely use that. Like, there's going to be some people who are going to be in the comment section here and they're going to be like, oh man, I go to my yacht every day. You just have to put in the effort to go there or whatever and like get the most out of it. And like, I agree, but like realistically, who's going to do that? Not many people. Buying a yacht is definitely a big waste of money, and I definitely don't recommend doing that. My second biggest regret is selling old cars to buy new cars. The amount of times that I did this in the first few years when I started GTA Online is insane. I would buy and sell cars all the time. And it kind of ties into the shark cards that we talked about a little bit earlier. I was essentially, to some degree, burning real life money every time that I sold one of those cars, because a portion of the money that I had probably spent on them was from those shark cards. So every time that I sold cars to get a new car, like I remember when the T20 came out, I sold like my Entity, I sold my Zentorno, I sold so many cars to get the T20, and then I just had a T20 and I was like kind of pissed because like I had nothing else to drive. Like, it was a cool car, but it wasn't that cool. Like, it was cool, but it wasn't, you know, amazing. It wasn't better than having, you know, an Entity and a Zentorno and, you know, multiple other cars as well. So selling old cars to buy new cars is definitely something that I regret. I'm not saying, you know, never do this. If there's cars that you don't drive anymore in the first place and that you don't really like, selling them to buy a new car, you know, whatever, it's fine. But selling cars that are actually good, that you actually like, especially nowadays too with all the removed vehicles, that is a big regret that a lot of people are going to have, is selling some of those cars that have been removed, you know, since they sold them, and that they can't get back now until they come out with an update week or they find a player who's got one in the car meet who's trying to sell it. So yeah, selling old cars to buy new cars, huge regret of mine. Oh man, pisses me off even talking about it. Damn. For some honorable mentions, I actually have 2 here. The second one is trying to unlock trade prices. I remember when the hangar first came out in GTA Online, me and NPC actually would try to unlock the trade prices, and you had to complete a certain amount of air freight cargo missions. And like, I think for the FH1 Hunter, I'm pretty sure you had to complete 42 air freight cargo missions, and each one of those missions was like between 10 to 30 minutes. And in the time that it would have taken to get the trade price, you could have easily made whatever the amount of money that increased with not having the trade price. You could have made that probably double in the same amount of time trying to unlock the trade price. Like, it was so dumb and so ridiculous. And it's the same thing with like the Avenger upgrades that we were like touching on a little bit earlier when I was talking about the Avenger. You have to spend 1.3 mil on the terminal to get it, to unlock the trade price, to upgrade the event. Like, it's, or maybe it's for the Raiju. It's for the Raiju. That's what it is. You have to spend 1.3 mil to save like 1.5 million on the Raiju. Like, what? That's so dumb. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Trade prices a lot of the time are a scam. Now, if it's something simple, like for example, when the Cluckenbell raid came out, to unlock the trade price for the Bravado Gauntlet Cruiser, or Interceptor, I should say, completing the Cluckenbell has, like, that's fine. That's not bad. It does not take that much time. You get paid a lot of money and you'll unlock the trade price and get the car for way cheaper. It's the same thing with like the Vapid Stainer LE Cruiser. I think you have to survive a 3-star or something to unlock the trade price. Like, it's like, who gives a shit? Like, just do it. But there's certain things, like a lot of the aerial vehicles in GTA Online with, you know, the hangar missions that you have to complete to get the trade prices. Please, for the love of God, do not do them. It is not worth it in the slightest. Please avoid that like the plague. My biggest honorable mention as a regret is not purchasing a Canis Seminole sooner. This vehicle, I only discovered this in maybe 2021, just how incredibly amazing the Canis Seminole actually is, and that is a huge regret of mine. I wish that I had this car for the entire duration of playing GTA Online, because it would have made my life so much easier between the missiles and the armor, the flying, the parachute. Like, this thing is just insane. The submarine function as well, like that is a huge part of the Canna Seminole. It's just an excellent vehicle overall, and not purchasing it sooner is definitely a huge regret of mine. I can't believe that it took me like 7 years to find out about the Canna Seminole. It's truly kind of tragic, and that is a huge regret of mine. Okay, and for number one, I'm gonna get deep here. Rushing the game is a huge regret of mine in GTA Online. For years, when I finally figured out how to make money in GTA, I was so focused on just getting so much money and getting the cars I wanted, and getting the businesses I wanted, the apartments I wanted, the yacht, like everything that I wanted or that I thought that I wanted, I would rush my ass off to get, and I would do the best grinding methods and whatever. And then when I started doing YouTube, I kind of realized that, like, similarly to like taking the modded money or whatever and like getting the money so quick, it kind of actually takes away from the actual fun of the game. The fun of the game is actually the, grinding to get to the point where you can buy whatever you want. And looking back on the times where like you had to drive, your first car that you stole off the street, and now you can drive whatever car you want, and you can drive that car down to the airport and get in your helicopter out of your hangar that you own and fly to your penthouse. And like the fun of the game is like the acceleration up to being at the top. The fun of the game isn't being at the top, it's leading up to being at the top and having, to grind and get money going so that you can purchase and start purchasing the things that you want, the things that do make it easier to make money, like, the master control terminal in the arcade. Grinding to get the master control terminal, that is fun. But having the master control terminal, like, it's useful, but it's not as fun as the grind up to the master control terminal. And I know this is going to go over so many people's heads, and they're going to be like, oh, GTA is such a grind fest, but it's like what I said earlier with the taking modded money, or like just having $100 billion. Those of you that get this are going to get it, and those of you that don't are not going to. Maybe when you're a little bit older, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And I understand that people have full-time jobs. I understand that people have families, and not everybody's got the time to grind and everything like that. And they just want to drive the vehicles they want to drive. And maybe those are the people that should be taking the modded money, or, buying the shark cards or whatever. But if you got time, just enjoy the ride, man. Enjoy the ride up to, getting to level 100, getting the CEO office, getting the agency, getting the nightclub, getting all the businesses that go in the nightclub basement. That is the fun of GTA. It's not actually being at the tip top, because where do you go from there? You're at the top of the mountain. You can't keep climbing. And that's where GTA kind of dies off for a lot of people. And I think that a lot of people are at that point. Hopefully some of you are still, halfway up the slope, a quarter of the way up the slope. The lower the down on the slope, actually, the better you are. And it's the same thing with life. When I first started doing YouTube, if I had got a 1 million view video for my first video, I would have probably not continued doing YouTube. I would have just been like, oh, well, I found my success already. And, I wouldn't have had to try to grind to get to where I'm at now. And like, I appreciate the fact that I've had to make, 2,600 videos to get to where I am right here, right now in 4 years. Like I had to do that to get to where I'm at, but now I'm so into this, and I'm so knowledgeable, and I'm so committed to it now that like I could never stop, So it's kind of the same thing with real life sometimes. I'm not saying that it's fun to be poor in real life. I've been poor too. And, seeing your parents have to work and everything like that, it's not awesome. It's not really fun. You don't want to have to see that. But when you get to the point where maybe you can retire your parents or anything like that, I think that's pretty much every kid's dream, is to make it so that their parents don't have to work anymore. That's where, you're kind of done, You can still go places in life, whatever, but like you set a goal and you're grinding to it, and when you get to the goal, you make another goal. And I don't know, real life is kind of the same way as GTA, and it's kind of weird to compare the two, but I think GTA is actually a really good example of like, don't rush the process, enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, not the destination. And that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. Thank you so much for watching this video. Those are my 10 biggest regrets in Grand Theft Auto Online, or 12, depending on what you want to count, if you want to count the honorable mentions. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, a like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike. Subscribe to my channel if you guys are new and you enjoy my content. Let me know what you thought of my video in the comment section down below. I'd actually love to know your thoughts, particularly on my biggest regret of rushing the game. I think that's going to be a really interesting conversation to see in the comment section down below. Comment a 7 if you made it to the end of the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Peace.